Sonam had always been the quiet one in her family. She wasn't shizzed, thoughtful, observant, and careful with her words. At 21, she had dreams blooming in her heart like wildflowers in early spring. She wanted to study fashion design or maybe start a small boutique someday. She wanted to create things, beautiful things, and live life on her own terms. But life didn't give her that freedom so easily. Her parents had passed away when she was just 11. After that, the only family she truly had was her elder brother. He was 10 years older and had practically raised her like a father. He didn't earn much, but he never let Sonam feel the weight of their struggles. He worked double shifts, stood in long lines for school admissions, and saved every extra coin to make sure she got what she needed. But then he got married. At first, Sonam had been excited. The idea of a sister-in-law made her happy. She imagined late-night gossip, shared clothes, someone to help her with makeup, someone who would support her dreams. But life, once again, had a way of disappointing her. Her sister-in-law Rafia was nothing like Sonam had imagined. She was sharp-tongued, selfish, and openly hostile towards Sonam from the very first week of marriage. "Your sister is staying with us permanently," Rafia asked Asen with a frown one evening only 3 days after their wedding. "She's an adult now. How long is she supposed to live here?" Asen had tried to reason gently. "Rafia, she's family. Where else will she go? And she's still studying," Rafia interrupted. "I didn't agree to take care of anyone's responsibility. I married you, not your whole family." Sonam heard every word from behind the curtain. Her hands trembled, but she stayed silent. She refused to be the reason her brother faced tension in his new marriage. She hid the ache inside her chest and swallowed her tears. From that day forward, things only got worse. Rafia treated Sonam like an unpaid maid. She would hand her the dirtiest chore-scrubbing utensils, doing laundry, mopping floors, then insult her if anything wasn't perfect. "You're useless," Rafia snapped one morning. "Girls your age dream too much. You should focus on learning how to work. Who will take you in as a daughter-in-law like this?" Sonam kept her head down. "I'll redo it." "I'm sorry, of course you will." Rafia walked away without even glancing back. Sonam let out a slow breath, one of many she held back every day. Asen noticed her red eyes, her silent suffering, the way she avoided looking at him directly like she didn't want to burden him. He tried to talk to Rafia, but every time he did, she twisted the conversation until she ended up crying and blaming Sonam. "She's turning you against me," Rafia would sob. "Ever since I came into this house, she wants to ruin our marriage." Asen, exhausted and confused, would fall silent. Rafia was his wife, Sonam his sister. He didn't know how to balance both. And Sonam. She observed everything, without saying a word. Weeks passed, then months. The atmosphere inside the house grew thick, suffocating. Osan loved his sister deeply, but he was trapped between two fires, unable to move. Sonam had learned not to expect anything, not even comfort. But the real breaking point came on a day that started out like any other. Sonam had been preparing tea for everyone when Rafia suddenly barged into the kitchen. "What is this?" she hissed, pointing at the tray. "Tea," Sonam replied softly. "You made tea for Osan too? Didn't I tell you I will serve him myself?" Sonam blinked. "He asked me to bring it since you were resting." Rafia's eyes filled with fury. She stormed forward, grabbed the tray, and flung it into the sink. The cups shattered. Hot tea splashed across the counter. "You think you're the lady of the house?" she yelled. "You think you can control him? You're doing this on purpose." Sonam backed away, frightened. "I'm not. I swear." Rafia shoved her. "Not hard enough to injure, but hard enough to humiliate. You're always in the way. I want you out of this house. You understand? Out!" Sonam froze, trembling, barely holding herself upright. That afternoon, when Asen came home, Rafia had already prepared the perfect story tears. Drama, manipulation. "She yelled at me," Rafia cried. "She insulted me, threw tea, and blamed me." Sonam stood in the hallway like a shadow. Her heart shook with fear. Would her brother believe such lies? Asan looked at Sonam with pained eyes. Is this true? She shook her head silently. Rafia continued, Asan, I can't live with her anymore. Either she leaves, or I do. Silence fell like a storm. Sonam felt her world slip from beneath her feet. Asan closed his eyes and whispered, Sonam, maybe you should stay with Aunt Selma for a while. Her breath cracked. She stared at him, speechless. The brother who had been her whole world was choosing his peace over her presence. I'll pack my things, Sonam said softly. Her voice didn't break, but her heart did. That night, as she folded her clothes into a small bag, she felt something unfamiliar rising inside her, not sadness, not helplessness, but anger. The kind of anger that grows quietly, nourished by injustice, watered by humiliation. That kind that doesn't burn quickly, simmers. And once it's ready, it becomes unstoppable. She looked at the door of her room, the room Rafia had forbidden her from decorating. The room where she had cried silently for months, and she exhaled deeply. If I'm leaving, she whispered to herself, I will return too. And when I return, I won't be the same person anymore. Sonam stepped out of the house with her small bag and a straight spine. Rafia watched her from the living room, smirking. Asan looked torn, guilty. Broken, but he didn't stop her. The night air was cold when Sonam stepped outside. But her heart was burning, and somewhere deep within her, a vow began to form slowly, silently, but with unshakable strength. I will rise. I will prove myself. I will come back stronger. And one day, the people who treated me like nothing will bow their heads in regret. Sonam didn't just leave a house that night. She left her old self behind. And this was the beginning of her revenge. Aunt Salma's house was small but peaceful. It stood on the edge of the town, surrounded by tall neem trees that rustled like gentle voices at night. When Sonam arrived with her small, worn-out bag, Aunt Soma looked at her with puzzled eyes. What happened, Beta? Sonam forced a smile. Nothing, just Rafia wanted some space. Aunt Selma had lived long enough to read lies written between words. She placed a hand on Sonam's cheek and whispered, You don't have to explain. This house is open for you. For the first time in months, Sonam slept without fear of insults or humiliation. No slamming doors. No sharp words waiting for her in the morning. No bitterness wrapped in every breath. But peace wasn't enough. She had a wound. No, peace could heal. She had a fire now. One evening, Sonam was helping Aunt Salma cook dinner when she heard voices outside. She recognized one immediately, Asan's. His voice was tired, strained, trembling. I want to see her, he said. Aunt Selma opened the door, arms crossed. Now you remember she exists? Asan lowered his head. Please. Sonam came forward. She had expected this moment, but she had also prepared her heart. Asan looked at her, eyes filled with guilt. I'm sorry, Sonam. I shouldn't have sent you away. I didn't know what to do. It's okay, she said softly. It wasn't okay. But forgiveness wasn't for him, which was for her own strength. Osan continued. Rafia says she wants you to apologize before coming back. Sonam blinked slowly. Apologize? For what? For disrespecting her, Asan whispered, as if he himself didn't believe it. Aunt Selma's jaw tightened. This girl has served your wife like a maid for months, and now she must apologize. Osan looked trapped again, unsure, helpless. Sonam realized something at that moment. Her brother loved her, but not enough to stand beside her, not enough to fight for her, not enough to choose. Justice over comfort. She gently stepped back. Asan, bye, go home. I'm safe here. I'll return when I'm ready. Her calmness scared him more than anger would have. He left quietly. Aunt Salma turned to her. Beta, what are you planning? Sonam took a deep breath. A life that no one can throw me out of. The next weeks shaped Sonam into someone she had never imagined she could become. Every morning, she woke up early, prayed, and wrote down her goals in a small diary. 1. Become financially independent. 2. Build my confidence. 3. Create something of my own. 4. Never depend on anyone again. Aunt Salma noticed her determination and encouraged her in every step. You have talent, she said one evening. You always made beautiful dresses, even with scraps of cloth. Why don't you join a stitching and fashion workshop? Sonam hesitated. Will they even accept me? Aunt Salma gave her a firm look. You are more capable than you think. And so, Sonam joined a local fashion training center. The first day she walked into the room nervously. But something unexpected happened. People smiled at her, welcomed her, encouraged her. No one called her useless. No one insulted her. No one treated her like a burden. It felt unreal. Within weeks, Sonam became one of the best learners in the workshop. Her hands moved skillfully through fabric, thread, and patterns. Her designs earned praise from teachers and students. Your sense of color is amazing. One instructor said, your stitching is cleaner than professionals. Another told her, Sonam's heart swelled not with pride, but with new strength. Her confidence began to bloom like a flower awakening after a long winter. Meanwhile, over at Azan's home, things were not going well. Rafia had expected Sonam to return, crying, begging, desperate. But Sonam didn't return. Days passed, then weeks. Rafia began losing control over the situation. Osin, once silent, now questioned her. You said Sonam was the problem, but the house feels colder now. Rafia snapped. Are you comparing me to her again? I'm asking for peace, Ozan muttered. But peace was impossible without Sonam, the only one who held the house together quietly. Rafia grew angrier with each passing day, furious that Sonam was no longer under her thumb. How dare she be happy elsewhere? How dare she ignore me? How dare she grow beyond my control? Rafia didn't know it yet, but the seeds of her downfall were already planted the night she forced Sonam out. Months passed. Sonam became stronger, bolder, clearer. She began stitching clothes for neighbors. Her work was neat, creative, beautiful. People appreciated her. Soon, she started earning small amounts of money, not much, but enough to make her realize she didn't need anyone's permission to survive. One evening, she showed her small earnings to Aunt Salma. You did this, Sonam whispered. No, Aunt Salma smiled. You did it. Sonam hugged her, a lump forming in her throat. But Sonam wasn't done. Her dreams grew bigger with each passing day. She wanted more. She wanted to rise higher. She wanted to prove herself not to the world, but to the version of herself who once stood trembling in a kitchen while someone shattered her spirit. She wanted Rafia to regret every word she had spoken. Not through violence, not through cruelty, but through success, the sweetest revenge. One afternoon at the fashion center, a woman with a clipboard walked in. She was from a well-known boutique in the city. We're looking for apprentices, she announced. People who have skill and discipline. The instructor immediately pointed at Sonam. She's our best. The woman studied Sonam's design book, her stitching samples, her creativity. You have talent, she said. We can offer you paid training. It's not much at the start, but if you work hard, you can build a professional career. Sonam felt the world shift beneath her feet. A paid position in a respected city boutique. A chance to become independent. She accepted without hesitation. The boutique was located in a large plaza owned by a prestigious family. The environment was polished, modern, competitive. Sonam's first day felt like she had stepped into another universe. Bright lights, colorful fabrics, fashion sketches pinned on boards, confident designers moving like they owned the world. It was intimidating, but Sonam was ready. She learned faster than anyone expected. Her hard work caught the attention of the boutique owner, Madame Zimmel, a woman known for her strict standards. One evening, Zimmel approached her. Your work is flawless. Where did you learn? Sonam smiled softly. Life taught me more than any school. Zimmel looked at her for a long moment. With proper effort, you could open your own studio one day. The idea struck Sonam like lightning. A studio. Her own. Her dream, finally forming a shape. And that dream was the beginning of her revenge. Because one day, when she walked back into her brother's house, would not be as the timid girl they pushed out, but as the woman they could never ignore again. Sonam's days in the boutique moved at a pace she had never known before. Every morning she woke before sunrise, tied her hair neatly, and traveled to the city with a determination that burned brighter than her fears. The world inside the boutique was sharp, competitive, and demanding. But Sonam, she was made of quiet steel now. She learned how to handle high-end fabrics, how to design modern cuts, how to manage customers with confidence. Her instructors began trusting her with more complex tasks. Her colleagues started looking at her as the rising star of the workshop. But Sonam didn't rise for admiration. She rose for freedom, and for the revenge that waited quietly behind her calm smile. One evening, while she was steaming a dress for a client, her phone buzzed with a message. The name on the screen made her freeze. Ahsan. She hesitated before opening it. Sonam, can we meet? I miss you. Rafia has changed. Please come home. Sonam breathed slowly. A year ago, she would have rushed home instantly. But now? She typed calmly. I'm busy. I'll come when I can. It was the first time she ever said those words to him. At that very moment, miles away, Ahsan stared at the message with wide eyes. His little sister had changed, and he didn't know how to reach her anymore. Sonam's talents soon caught the attention of the boutique clients. One day, a wealthy woman, Mrs. Rahman, entered the boutique. She was elegant, dressed in a silk sari, and carried herself with the confidence of someone used to power. She admired Sonam's stitching, the neatness, the colors, the precision. This is your work? She asked. Sonam lowered her eyes slightly. Yes, madam. Mrs. Rahman smiled warmly. You have a rare gift. My family is hosting a charity fashion show next month. We want new talent. Would you like to design a full outfit for it? Sonam's heart skipped. Me? Yes, you. I see something strong in you. Something that shouldn't remain hidden. Sonam felt a rush of emotions. Not long ago, she was treated like nothing. Now, someone powerful wanted to showcase her work. This was more than an opportunity. It was a path to everything she had dreamed of, despite the circumstances. Success wasn't easy. Designing for a fashion show meant long nights, aching hands, and constant pressure. One night, Sonam sat alone in her tiny room at Aunt Selma's house, surrounded by sketches and fabric pieces. It was past midnight, and she still wasn't satisfied with the design. Her eyes burned with exhaustion. Her chest tightened after months of strength. The memories of Rafia's cruelty suddenly came flooding back. Good for nothing, girl. Stay out of my way. You're just a burden. Sonam felt tears slipping down her cheeks. The wound Rafia left inside her was deep, and nights like this made it sting again. Aunt Selma quietly entered the room. Without a word, she sat beside her. Crying doesn't make you weak, she whispered. It shows that you haven't forgotten your worth. Sonam leaned into her, letting herself cry for a few minutes. Then she wiped her face, straightened her back, and returned to her work. Strength wasn't the absence of hurt. Strength was walking through the pain anyway. Sonam completed her design. A flowing pastel dress with delicate hand embroidery inspired by village patterns, her childhood woven into fabric. It was raw, emotional, beautiful. On the day of the charity fashion show, her heart pounded as models prepared backstage. Sonam stood silently by the curtains as her design took the runway. The lights shone. The audience whispered. The model walked with grace. And then the applause began. Loud, continuous. Growing, Mrs. Rahman approached her afterward. You did exceptionally well. How would you feel about becoming a permanent designer for my brand? Sonam's breath caught. A permanent job, a real career, a life she never thought possible. She said yes. At that moment, she felt something powerful rising inside her, not revenge, but victory. Word spread quickly in the town. People began saying, have you heard? Sonam is working for the Ramans. She's earning more than many men. Her designs were showcased in the city. The same society that once ignored her suddenly wanted to claim pride in her success. Even Osen heard about it. He came to see her again. This time she didn't rush to hug him. He looked at her with a mix of guilt and awe. Sonam, people talk about you everywhere. You have become something else. Sonam didn't smile. I became what I had to. Azan swallowed. Rafia wants you to come home. She said. Sonam cut him off gently. She said, what? That she's sorry. Osen whispered. Sonam looked at her brother with eyes that had learned how to see the truth behind words. No, bye, she said softly. She's scared. There's a difference. Asen froze. He had never heard Sonam speak with such clarity. While Sonam was rising, Rafia was drowning. Her arrogance had isolated her. Neighbors spoke behind her back. She mistreated Sonam. And now look, Sonam is shining while Rafia sits alone. Asen, who once obeyed Rafia blindly, now questioned her constantly. You pushed her away. You insulted her. You broke this family. Rafia found herself cornered by her own actions. For the first time, she felt the sting of disrespect, the very sting she once inflicted on Sonam daily. It happened on a Thursday evening, a knock on Aunt Solma's door. Rafia stood there nervous, trembling, wearing the same pride she always carried but now cracked by fear. Sonam, she whispered. Can I talk to you? Sonam folded her arms. Speak. Rafia swallowed hard. Please, forgive me. I want you to come home. The house feels empty without you. I didn't know what I was doing. Sonam listened silently in that silence. Rafia crumbled. I'm sorry, she whispered again, eyes filling with tears. A year ago. Sonam would have melted at those tears, but not today. Sonam took a step forward. Rafia Bobby. Rafia looked up with hope. You didn't break me? Rafia's lips parted. You broke yourself. Rafia's face fell completely. Sonam continued, her voice calm yet powerful. I will come home, but not the way you expect. And with that, she walked back inside, leaving Rafia standing in stunned silence. A storm was coming, but it wasn't a storm of anger. It was a storm of justice. The morning after her final confrontation with Alina, Sonam felt a strange stillness in her chest, like the air before rainfall, heavy but clean. Her wounds were still healing, but her spirit felt sharper than ever. There was no guilt, no confusion, no fear left inside her. For the first time in years, she believed she had the right to protect her own dignity. Her brother, Rav, had left early for work. He barely spoke to Sonam anymore. His loyalty to Alina clouded every truth. But Sonam knew that today would change that forever. Because today, everything would end. The evidence Sonam had collected from the herbal tea packet, the illegal sedative, was now sealed in an envelope. Along with voice recordings of Alina's insults, threats, and plans to force Sonam out of the house. She had documented everything carefully. She had even recorded the night when Alina had nearly pushed her down the stairs. But Sonam didn't plan to destroy Lena with police or court cases. She wanted the truth to destroy her. And the opportunity came faster than expected. That evening, Arav returned home with tense shoulders and tired eyes. Alina followed him in, her makeup perfect as always, her smile a polished mask. Dinner is ready, she announced, pretending sweetness. But Sonam noticed the flicker in her eyes, the same anger, the same hatred she always hid behind her charming face. When Arav sat down, Sonam gently placed the envelope on the table. It's time, she said quietly. Arav frowned. What is this? A truth, Sonam replied, that you should have seen a long time ago. Before Alina could interrupt, Sonam clicked her phone. The first audio recording played. Alina's voice filled the room. I can't wait until she finally leaves this house. She's such a burden. Arav is stupid enough not to see it. Arav froze. Alina's face drained of color. The second recording? followed, "If she tries to argue again, I swear I will make her life so miserable she'll beg to leave." Arav looked at Alina with betrayal so deep, Sonam felt it like heat in the air. "That's fake," Alina shouted. "She made it up." Sonam cut her off, then explained this. She opened the last recording the night Alina had tried to push her down the stairs. "If you fall, no one will believe it wasn't an accident." Arav stood up so fast his chair toppled behind him. "Enough," he said, voice shaking. "Alina, I trusted you. I let you talk against my sister. I believed your lies." "Arav, listened she?" "No," he snapped. "You don't get to speak. You tried to hurt her." His voice cracked. "You hurt the one person who loved this house more than either of us." Alina's mask shattered. She tried to lunge toward Arav, but he stepped back. "You're leaving this house tonight." Alina wasn't the type to accept defeat quietly. She screamed, cried, accused, threatened, but nothing worked anymore. Arav saw the truth now. And Sonam watched the collapse with steady eyes. Alina, in her rage, grabbed a vase and flung it toward Sonam. But Arav caught her wrist mid-air. "That's enough. Get out." The command boomed through the entire house. The neighbors peeked from windows as Alina stormed out, throwing curses into the night. But no one believed her. Sonam had already given copies of the recordings to a trusted neighbor and Arav's close friend. The society that once saw Sonam as a weak orphan now saw Alina's true face. Her fall was complete. The next morning was the quietest the home had ever felt. Arav knocked gently on Sonam's door. When she opened it, she saw guilt drowning his eyes. I'm so sorry," he whispered. Sonam didn't say anything. "I failed you," he continued. "All these years, you suffered. I didn't see it. I didn't protect you." She felt her throat tighten not with pain, but with the strange ache of finally being understood. "You believed her," Sonam said softly. "I believed the wrong person," he answered. "But I want to fix everything." Sonam studied his face, the brother she had grown up with, who had been blinded by love. "But not by malice." "Then start now," she said gently. And he did. Over the next days, Arav helped rearrange the house. He removed Alina's belongings. He cleaned the kitchen, repainted the garden, repainted the living room. For the first time since the marriage, the house felt warm again. Sonam found herself cooking without fear, laughing without whispering, sitting in the living room without expecting insults. The air felt lighter. The home felt hers again. But revenge wasn't just about exposing Alina, it was about rebuilding her own life. Sonam enrolled in a digital design course, something she had always dreamed of. Arav supported her fully, paying the fees without hesitation. The two grew close again slowly, carefully, like broken glass pieces finding a new pattern. In time, Sonam began earning through freelance work. Clients loved her designs. Her confidence bloomed in ways she never expected. One morning, while working in her room, she realized something. Revenge wasn't the moment Alina walked out. Revenge was this: Sonam standing strong, independent, and unbreakable. Months passed. The house transformed into a peaceful sanctuary. Arav found a job in another city, leaving the home fully to Sonam. He visited often. But he wanted her to grow without dependency. And she did. Sonam decorated the porch with soft lights, planted roses, painted her room with pastel blue. For the first time in her life, she felt safe. One Sunday evening, as she sat on the terrace with her tea, the sky soaked in orange twilight, she closed her eyes and whispered, "I am free." No more shouting, no more fear, no more shrinking herself to survive. Her past had tried to break her, but she had built her revenge out of truth, courage, and self-respect. And now she lived in peace. A peace she earned, peace she deserved.